Hi, I'm DocMoyo and welcome to WELFIE. Today on Healthy Holidays, we're going to be taking a look at coffee. Good, bad, or necessary. Also, we'll be tackling some of your questions about coffee and heart health. Is it good for your heart or bad for your heart? And in addition, we'll be taking a look at how you should take your coffee, how you should make your coffee, where you should make your coffee, and when. So stay tuned, but for right now, we're going over to my kitchen for my favorite way to make coffee, the French press. So we are here at my kitchen with all the essentials for what we need to make a morning cup of French press coffee. We've got our coffee grinder, coffee beans, the necessary mug from St. Viateur Bagel in Montreal, our French coffee press, and our kettle. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. We're going to boil our water to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and while that is boiling, we are going to get the press ready, or the beans ready. So I like to get my coffee beans from a local coffee shop. The reason I do this is because I like to grind my own beans and I like fresh beans in the morning. And it's nice and simple. If you can, one of these coffee scoops is great. I recommend about 2 scoops of this in the coffee grinder. That should be more than enough for us today. And these coffee grinders are pretty cheap. You can find them on Amazon and Walmart, at your local department store. Just make sure the top is on. Most of them won't start unless the top is on nice and tight. So that usually is not something you're going to have to worry about. You're going to grind your coffee. So if you can see that, got those coffee grounds done pretty well. You want them a little bit coarse for the French press, so you don't want them too fine. And you can hear that the kettle is getting going, that water is boiling, so it's going to be ready pretty soon. And you can see that the process is actually pretty quick. We're waiting for the water to boil, which you're going to need to do whether you're making your coffee in a drip coffee maker or not. And then once that is ready, we're simply just going to pour the water into the press over the ground coffee beans. So you can get those into the press right away. It sounds to me like this water is ready. So we are ready to brew. So the nice thing about the French press is you can control the amount of coffee that you make, as well as how strong that coffee is. I don't really need anything more than 1 to 2 cups today, so I'm going to stop right there. That's probably about 1.5 cups. And if I want a stronger cup of coffee, I'm simply just going to allow this to steep or sit for a little bit longer. 5 to 7 minutes is what I recommend if you're allowing this to get a decent cup of coffee. But you could definitely go a little less if you want something a little lighter, just for the taste and not for that extra energy kick. But we're going to let that brew, and that's going to take about 5 to 7 minutes as mentioned. So while that is brewing, let's tackle a few of the questions that we had about coffee and heart health. It seems like every other month there's a scientific study coming out saying coffee is either good for you or coffee is bad for you. But what's my take? Well, the amount of coffee you drink is important. I have patients who come into the hospital or into the clinic with blood pressures through the roof. And literally, they'll have a cup of coffee in hand. And when I ask them, how many of those are you drinking a day? They'll tell me 3, 5, sometimes up to 7 or 8. And that's a lot of coffee. And it definitely has an effect on your blood pressure. So what I recommend is 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day. And if you're drinking it for flavor, then try decaf. But if you're drinking it for the needed energy boost, try it in the morning or in the afternoon, early afternoon lull. Which brings me to my second point, the when you drink coffee. So drinking coffee in the late afternoon or the evening can definitely have an effect on your sleep. It'll actually cause problems with falling asleep, as well as if you wake up in the middle of the night, problems getting back to sleep. So it's important that you drink coffee in the morning or early afternoon, and try to avoid drinking coffee in the late afternoon or evening. So those are 2 ways to keep your coffee habit heart healthy. So if you're like me, quitting coffee is not even an option. It's not happening. So how we take our coffee becomes the next most important thing. We've already talked about the amount of coffee you should take.
focusing on 1 to 2 cups a day, and when you should take that coffee, focusing on in the morning or early afternoon. But how we take our coffee is also important. I like my coffee black. I prefer the flavor that way, but for heart health reasons, I try to avoid the sugar and avoid the cream. This is also why I try to avoid lattes, frappuccinos, cappuccinos, and all those sugary, creamy coffee type of drinks or espresso drinks that are offered at the local coffee shop. Making my coffee at home is another key and important step. I make my coffee at home because it saves me money and it saves me time. And I often hear patients say, I'm gonna head to work, I'm busy in the morning, I like to stop by the local coffee shop and grab a cup of coffee on my way in. It saves me time. But when I ask them about the time that they detour from work, the time that they're waiting in line or waiting in that drive-through line that wraps around the corner, when you really calculate all that out, you're not saving time and you're definitely not saving money.
That is nice and warm and ready to go. And the French press is simple. It's exactly what it is. You press it down, designed in France, obviously. And you just want to go at a decent speed here. You don't need to press it all down. You're just getting those grounds towards the bottom. Once you're done with that, you are ready to pour it up. Nice and simple, French press.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed our coffee-centric edition of Healthy Holidays. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about topics that we should tackle on this channel, please leave a message in the comment section below. We'll be sure to get to those. And if you have any heart health questions, head over to WELFIE.com where you can find answers. And if we don't have the answer that you're looking for, send us a message and we'll be happy to tackle that with you. As always, live wealthy and healthy holidays. Take care.